Hello students, welcome back to biology classes. In the previous class we have completed the first kingdom, that is kingdom Monera. Now we are going to start with the new kingdom, that is second kingdom, kingdom Protista. So this kingdom Protista includes all unicellular microscopic eukaryotes. I am telling you here this kingdom mainly includes the eukaryotes. Do you remember the one and only kingdom which containing prokaryotes is the kingdom Monera. So except Monera, remaining all kingdoms includes eukaryotic organisms. So from this kingdom Protista, all organisms are eukaryotes. So here all unicellular microscopic eukaryotes are included in this kingdom Protista. We'll see certain general features of this kingdom Protista. As I said, this mainly includes unicellular microscopic eukaryotic organisms. And these organisms, they may be solitary, as I said, they may be single, they may be appears like a colonies, that is called as a colonial form, and they appears like a filaments, that is called as a filamentous. So they may be solitary, colonial or filamentous in nature. As they are eukaryotes, if they are eukaryotes, they definitely contains a true nucleus and membrane-bound cell organelles. Yeah, in all the organisms we can find a true nucleus and a membrane-bound cell organelles. And in this group, some organisms are autotrophs and some are heterotrophs. We will come to know which are the autotrophic forms and which are the heterotrophic forms. Everything we will study later. And here, most of the organisms that comes under this kingdom Protista, they have locomotory organ. You know, with the help of locomotory organ, they can able to move. For example, as you studied bacteria, so bacteria can able to move with the help of flagella. So their flagella is the locomotory organ. Similarly, here most of them have locomotory organs. So which are the locomotory organs? It may be flagella, it may be cilia or pseudopodia. So these are the locomotory organs of different organisms under this kingdom. And the organisms, they reproduce asexually as well as sexually. You will come to know what is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction, there without the fusion of gametes, the new organism will be obtained. But in case of sexual reproduction, the male and female gametes, they will fuse to form zygote. Later, the new organism will be obtained. But in this case, here they will reproduce both asexually as well as sexually. But sexual modes of reproduction is very important, because here sexual reproduction will be brought by cell fusion and zygote formation. Cell fusion and zygote formation. You know that gametes will undergo fusion, later they will form zygote. But in this condition, the cells, the two cells, when they come together, the cells will fuse first, later their nucleus will fuse to form zygote. Likewise, here the main mode of sexual reproduction is cell fusion and zygote formation. And another interesting thing about the Protista is that this kingdom Protista, it forms a link between or link with other plants, animals and even fungi. It has the link with the plants, animals and even fungi that we can able to know later. So now we see the classification of kingdom Protista. So as you studied in kingdom Monera, there are Archaebacteria, Eubacteria. Likewise, so this kingdom Protista has been classified into 5 divisions. So kingdom Protista, it is divided into 5 divisions, namely Chrysophyta. Second one is called as Phyllophyta, which is also called as a Dinoflagellates. Third one, Euglenoids. Fourth one, slime molds. And fifth one, protozoans. is very very important. You may get a question about this classification. So these are the 5 divisions under kingdom Protista. So which are the 5 divisions? Chrysophyta, Phyrophyta, Euglenoids, Climboids and Protozoans. First we will discuss about Chrysophyta. This Chrysophyta can also be called as golden brown algae. Golden brown algae. As you know, cyanobacteria is also called as a blue-green algae. Similarly, here Chrysophyta is also called as a golden brown algae, and this group mainly includes diatoms and golden algae called as desmids. So the examples are very very important for this classification. So it is also called as golden brown algae, and this group mainly includes diatoms and the golden algae called as desmids. And these are usually microscopic and photosynthetic organisms. And where these diatoms and desmids are usually present, they usually found in freshwater as well as marine water. In the previous classes only I told you, so what is the freshwater condition and marine water condition. So these organisms can able to survive both in freshwater as well as in marine water habitats. And these are microscopic and photosynthetic organisms. And here these microscopic organisms which are usually float passively in water currents, they are called as planktons. Planktons. If the microscopic organisms which will be floats on the water surface, on the water currents, that is called as planktons. So planktons can be seen in this Chrysophyta. So what are planktons? The microscopic organisms which float passively in water currents, it is called as plankton. Later you will study in your higher classes zooplanktons, phytoplanktons, likewise. Here just you remember planktons. Then we need to talk more about diatoms. Diatoms. Here in case of diatoms, a diatom cell has a unique cell wall which is made up of cellulose. As you see in case of plants, even in diatoms, the cell of a diatom, which is mainly made up of cellulose, along with the cellulose, it is impregnated with silica. Impregnated, it means it is deposited with. Initially, the cell walls are made up of cellulose, later that is deposited with the help of silica. That is what I am going to say. A diatom cell which is made up of, which having cell wall which is mainly made up of cellulose along with the deposition of silica. And in these diatoms, a cell wall forms two thin overlapping shells. It contains two thin overlapping shells which can fit together like a soap box. As you see in your home, how the soap box having two halves, likewise here these diatoms will have two halves which can able to fit together like a soap box. Which can able to fit like a soap box, and here they have two separate halves, and each of is having a specific name which are epitheca and hypotheca. Cell wall having two separate unequal halves, the epitheca and hypotheca. So here I will say it is epitheca and hypotheca. This epitheca, it is slightly larger than that of the hypotheca. For example, when you take the soap box, so the basal one is usually larger when compared to the upper one. So here the upper one we can call it as hypotheca, and the smaller larger one we can call it as epitheca. You should remember all these. The cell wall usually having two thin overlapping shells or two separate unequal halves called as epitheca and hypotheca. Here epitheca is larger than that of the hypotheca. And here the silicified cell wall. The silicified cell wall of diatom, it is called as a frustule. The silicified cell walls of diatoms is called as a frustule, which are highly because of the because of the presence of pustule or because of the deposition of silica, these diatoms are referred to as jewels of plant kingdom. These are jewels of plant kingdom because the diatoms are highly sculptured. When you observe a diatom or images of diatom, you will come to know there are variety of shapes, variety of designs we can observe. So due to that shapes, designs, everything, we can call diatoms as jewels of plant kingdom. But it is kingdom Podesta. You may be thinking why they are jewels of plant kingdom, why they are not the jewels of kingdom Podesta. So here these are because of the presence of pigments as well as cellulose, they are considered as jewels of plant kingdom. But nothing to worry about that. Just diatoms are considered. Initially, diatoms are placed under kingdom Plantae only. So they have given the jewels of plant kingdom. The silicified cell wall of diatom is called as a pustule, which is highly sculptured. Hence, they are called as jewels of plant kingdom. And when you observe the diatom having a protoplast containing centrally placed nucleus and peripheral cytoplasm. In any cell, you can observe a centrally placed nucleus which is surrounded by cytoplasm. Similarly, here also they have centrally placed nucleus surrounded by cytoplasm. And here they have plastids. As you know, chloroplast. Likewise, here there are certain plastids which are called chromatophores. The plastids are called as chromatophores, which contain different types of pigments like chlorophyll, carotenoids, xanthophyll, etc. These are the pigments which are present in these plastids called as chromatophores. Then here the reserve food material, and one more thing, as they contain pigments like chlorophyll, xanthophyll, carotenoids, etc. They are the chief producers in ocean. If these diatoms are present in ocean, if they are usually present in oceans only, producers in the sense, all plants are producers because they can able to synthesize their own food. But we cannot find trees, plants which are present on terrestrial land, which cannot be seen in the oceans. But in oceans, these diatoms can able to prepare their own food because of the presence of pigments. That's why the diatoms are considered as the chief producers in ocean. Producers are the organisms which can able to synthesize their own food. Here diatoms are the chief producers in ocean. And the diatoms having the reserve food material. So the reserve food materials may be leucosin, chrysolaminarin, oil droplets, volutin, etc. All these are the reserve food material in case of diatoms. You just remember, diatoms they are usually having a cell wall. Cell wall is made up of cellulose along with silica deposition, and they have two unequal halves which can fit together like a soap box, and the two halves are called as epitheca and hypotheca. Epitheca is larger than that of the hypotheca, and the silicified cell walls are called as frustule, and because of the highly sculptured nature of the frustule, they are also called as jewels of plant kingdom. And they contain nucleus, cytoplasm, and plastids called as chromatophores, which contain pigments. And due to the presence of pigments, they are the chief producers in ocean. Reserve food material is leucosin, chrysolaminarin, volutin, and oil droplets, etc. Here, very interesting about diatoms is that here the walls are deposited with silica. So as they are deposited with silica, the cell walls are highly indestructible. It is very difficult to disturb the cell wall, and even after the death of these diatoms, after their death, the empty cell walls, actually the cell wall is very hard, which is coated with the silica. So that empty cell walls which will seem sink to the bottom of the ocean and where they are deposited. In the bottom of the ocean, the empty cell walls will be deposited and that region is called as diatomaceous earth. It is very important. Diatomaceous earth. They will ask one mark, what is diatomaceous earth? So diatomaceous earth is nothing but the accumulation of empty cell walls of diatoms which are deposited at the bottom of the ocean over several billions of years is called as a diatomaceous earth. So where in that particular region where the diatoms are usually present, in that particular area all the empty cell walls will be sinks to the bottom of the ocean where they are deposited. That particular area is called as diatomaceous earth. The accumulation of empty cell walls, in the bottom of the ocean over several billions of years is called as a diatomaceous earth. And this diatomaceous earth have many economic importance. So this can be used as the soil or this diatomaceous earth. It can be used for various purposes. It can be used for polishing, filtration. It is used in oils, syrups, paints, glass, detergents, and even it is used in toothpaste. So as I said, diatomaceous earth, it is used for filtration. It is used in glass, paints, detergents, polishing, toothpaste, etc. In all these cases, the diatomaceous earth is used. So that is about diatoms and chrysophyta. So chrysophyta, golden brown algae. So here we are mainly focused on diatoms, their cell wall, silica deposition, and here there is a food material, and very important is a diatomaceous earth that completes chrysophyta. And the next one is called as phyrophyta or dinoflagellates. Phyrophyta are dinoflagellates. So here these dinoflagellates, they are mostly marine and photosynthetic forms. You know, if they are marine, usually they are present in oceans and they are photosynthetic in nature. Why they are photosynthetic? Because they contain pigments, and these dinoflagellates, they can appear yellow, green, brown, red and blue color. So they may appear in these colors depending upon the pigments present in the cells. So whatever the pigments which are present in the cell, so that provides a particular color to that organism. So they appear in different colors. And here on the surface of the cell, they have a strong or stiff cellulosic plates. They have cellulosic plates. Usually we will say cell wall is made up of cellulose. Here the outer surface of the cell, they have cellulosic plates. The cellulose, it will be appeared in the form of cellulosic plates. And very importantly, as the name only indicates dinoflagellates, here majority of the organisms having two flagella. Two flagella. So majority of the organisms under this dinoflagellate, they have two flagella. That arrangement is also very unique. See, for example, I will write one simple example dinoflagellate. So this is a simple example. So an organism will be looking like this. So this is a dinoflagellate. So here, as I said, a stiff cellulosic plate. So this is the region. The cellulosic plates will be appeared. Here, one flagella lies longitudinally like this. This is one flagella which lies longitudinally and other one transversely. The other flagella which lies transversely along the furrow between the cellulosic plates. Try to remember, here they have two flagella, one lies longitudinally and other one lies transversely along the furrow between the cellulosic plates. And in this group, some organisms, they even emit light. That phenomenon The emission of light by some biological organisms is called as bioluminescence. So in this group, certain marine organisms they emit light. You may have seen certain movies. In some movies, you may have seen in the ocean, some organisms will be emitting light. That phenomenon is called as bioluminescence. Then which are the organisms that emits light? Example, Gonillax, Serratium, Noctiluca, all these examples we have given in the study material. So try to remember the bioluminescence which will be exhibited by Gonillax, Serratium and Noctiluca. Here, this Gonillax is very important. It is a red dinoflagellate. Gonillax is commonly called as a red dinoflagellate because it will undergo rapid multiplication. It will multiply very soon and it makes the sea. It is present in the sea or ocean. It makes the sea to appear as red tides. Sometimes when you can observe a red tides can be appeared. So what is the reason for the red tides? Because of the rapid multiplication of a red dinoflagellate called as Gonillax. So this is very important. This Gonillax it is responsible for red tides as it undergo rapid multiplication. So these are certain examples. And another thing, this Gonillax also produces certain toxins. Toxic chemicals are called as toxins. So this Gonillax will produce certain toxins and those toxins can able to kill other aquatic organisms like fishes. So it forms red tides, at the same time it releases certain toxins that can able to kill other aquatic organisms like fishes. So this is about dinoflagellates or phytoplankton. And the next one is euglenoids. Next one is euglenoids, and these euglenoids are commonly found in fresh water and stagnant water. Stagnant water means standing water, where the water is standing in any one area, that we can call it as a stagnant water. And what I mean to say is it is not running, it is not going out from that area, so that is called as stagnant water. So euglenoids they are commonly present in fresh water and stagnant water. Here these euglenoids they do not have cell wall. They do not have cell wall. Instead of cell wall, they have a protein-rich layer called as pellicle. A protein-rich layer called as pellicle. So this pellicle which makes their body flexible. So because of the presence of cellulose, as plants have the flexibility, similarly this pellicle it is a protein-rich layer which is present in euglenoids instead of cell wall. So this pellicle will make their body flexible. Try to understand. So euglenoids they have a protein-rich layer called as a pellicle. And here if you know the example for euglenoids we can give euglena. You may have seen in your lower classes also. So euglena. So this is the euglena. In this euglena, you may see a light sensitive eye spot. A light sensitive eye spot can be seen in case of euglenoids. Then what is the importance of this eye spot? So this eye spot can guide the organism to move towards the light. See this light eye spot. This eye spot can also be called as stigma. So that eye spot will guide the organism to move towards the light. That is one special feature in euglenoids. Euglenoids, especially euglena, which contain a light sensitive eye spot. And even it contains chloroplast. Here it contains chloroplast. So I am not drawing as a neat diagram. Here this diagram is not required, but just I am drawing this diagram. Here the chloroplast is usually present in euglena and the chloroplast containing the photosynthetic pigments. Chloroplast contains photosynthetic pigments. If it contains chloroplast and photosynthetic pigments, it can able to prepare their own food, isn't it? So euglena can able to prepare their own food because they contain chloroplast which contains pigment. presence of sunlight, they behave as a photosynthetic. They can able to prepare their own food. But in the absence of sunlight, they behave as heterotrophs. They behave as heterotrophs. If they are heterotrophs, they need to depend upon other organisms. So during that condition, in the absence of sunlight, they will be feeding upon or predating on other smaller organisms during heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So they behave both as autotrophs as well as heterotrophs. In the presence of sunlight, chloroplasts can able to synthesize their own food. That's why photosynthetic. But in the absence of sunlight, they cannot prepare their own food. So at that condition, they will be feeding upon other organisms. And even in this euglena, they have two flagella, a short one and a long one. See here, a smaller flagella will arise. That smaller flagella will fuses with the larger. This is the long flagella. Here, a small flagella will be there that fuses with the longer one, especially in case of euglena. And flagella, it is the locomotory organ in case of euglenites. And very interestingly, the pigments which are present in euglenoids that are similar to the pigments which are present in higher plants. Whatever the plants we are seeing, in those plants we can find the pigments. So such type of pigments can even present in euglenoids. That is the interesting thing. And another thing, this euglena, it has both animal and plant features. As it contains chloroplast, it is a plant feature. As it contains flagella, locomotory organ, it is an animal feature. So it has both plant and animal character. So that is about euglenoids. Let me repeat a few points that we have discussed in this class. Kingdom Protista, which includes all unicellular microscopic eukaryotes. And they are autotrophs or heterotrophs. As they are eukaryotes, they have true nucleus and membrane board cell organelles, and most of them have locomotory organ, that is cilia, flagella or pseudopodia. And they reproduces by asexually as well as sexually by cell fusion and zygote formation. Classification, there are 5 divisions: Chrysophyta, Phyrophyta, euglenoids, slimodes and protozoans. Chrysophyta is also called as golden brown algae, which mainly includes the diatoms and desmids. And these are microscopic photosynthetic organisms. They are usually present in fresh water and marine water. The microscopic organisms which float passively in water currents, that is called as plankton. And diatoms have cell wall made up of cellulose, which is also deposited with the silicon, and cell wall having 2 unequal walls called as epitheca and hypotheca. Both can fit together like a soap box, and epitheca is larger than that of the hypotheca. The silicified cell wall is called as a crustule, hence they are also called as jewels of plant kingdom. And I said that they have a true nucleus cytoplasm, and they contain plastids which contain pigments. Then the reserve food material is a leucosin and chrysolaminarin, and even they contain oil droplets and volume. And one more thing here, diatoms, they reproduces asexually by, as I said, here they reproduces by cell fusion and zygote formation. Here the diatoms, they reproduces by cell division and oxospore formation. The cell will divide to form a new organism. Likewise, the cell division is a mode of reproduction, and even there are special types of spores will be produced. They are called as oxospores in case of diatoms. And next is diatomaceous earth. You know, the accumulation of empty cell walls at the bottom of the ocean over several billions of years is called as a diatomaceous earth. And next, Phyrophyta, also called as a dinoflagellates. These are mostly marine and photosynthetic organisms. They appear in different colors depending upon the pigment present in that. And they have stiff cellulosic plates, and here they have 2 flagella. One lies longitudinally, other one horizontally or transversely along the furrow between the cellulosic plates. Very importantly, bioluminescence. The emission of light by some biological organisms is called bioluminescence. So some dinoflagellates will emit bioluminescence. Example, Gonilax, Serratium, Noctiluca, and this Gonilax is called as red dinoflagellate, which is responsible for red tides because of rapid multiplication. And it releases toxins. That toxins can able to kill other aquatic organisms. And lastly, euglenoids. Euglenoids, as I said, they do not contain cell wall. Instead of cell wall, they contain a protein-rich layer called as pellicle, and they are present in fresh water and stagnant water. And they have a light-sensitive eye spot that guides the organism towards the light. They contain chloroplast, and chloroplast contains pigments. In the presence of sunlight, they are photosynthetic. In the absence of sunlight, they behave as heterotrophs, and they have two flagella, a long and short one. And shorter, the smaller one will fuses with the larger one. And the pigments are usually present in euglenoids. They are similar to higher plants. This euglena having both plant and animal character. So this completes the three divisions in kingdom Protista. And in the next class we will discuss limors and protozoans. Even the MCQs related to this class I will discuss after completing limors and protozoans. So all these are very, very important. Note down the important points and we will continue in the next class.